How's everybody doing today? This is Dr. Joe Martin, your host for the Warrior Mindset Podcast. And today we have a special guest, a young lady that's been a patient of mine for about 5 years. Yeah, 5-6 years. I've known her a long time. Have known her since she's had her 5-year-old. So definitely at least 6 because they're, 5 years old now?
5, it'll still be 6 this year.
So my special guest here, like I said, is a patient of mine. She's got an unbelievable story. We're going to let her start it off. Her name is Crystal Carrillo. See if my Spanish wasn't that good. You can say that better in Spanish.
It's Crystal Carrillo.
Carrillo. I think I said that a little better this time. But she's been an awesome patient of mine. We've seen some great, and one more time, great changes with her over the last 5-6 years. I'll just start off just a little bit and we'll get her history. But she started off when she was a patient of mine at about 360?
About 360, yes.
About 360 pounds. And her journey over the last, has it been 2
years? About
2 years of this program and her adventure, she lost 180 pounds. So we're only seeing half of her today. I've known her since we've seen 2 of her.
Yes.
Now she's half of the person she was before, but unbelievable story. I love her to death. And Crystal, just do me a favor, just a little bit of introduction so that people kind of know a little bit of your background, where you came from, blah, blah, blah. We'll kind of go from there.
Okay, well, my name is Crystal Carrillo. I'm from Fresno, California. I'm 32. I am a mother of 4 kids.
How old are the kids now?
I have 12, 11, and 2 5-year-olds.
And that itself, you get to wear the armor of the warrior, the warrior princess, just for having those kids at still, a young age and having to deal with them.
Yes.
Did you go to high school here too?
I went to high school. I went to Roosevelt High.
Mm-hmm.
Graduated back in 09.
Mm-hmm. 09?
Yes.
Okay. And so from the beginning, like when you were younger, and it's obviously an Hispanic family, and they have, the stigma a lot of times of the food isn't always the nutritionist. There's a lot of fat involved and lard and in the cooking processes and whatnot. Did you kind of grow up in that type of family too?
Oh, yeah. In a Hispanic household, we grew up eating tacos, enchiladas, and rice, and, all the good food as we known. But
taste point of view,
yes,
right?
But taste of it, but not as good as for our house.
Mm-hmm.
So, growing up, that's all we did was cook, especially, like I said, being Hispanic, we love to cook. That's one of our traditions is cooking.
Right.
So, cooking makes everybody's happy, everybody, the family, friends, we all get together, cook. So it was rough, but we did it.
And was there a, like in the family dynamics, there was, like, say, parents or grandparents or uncles or cousins or whatever, more on the bigger side, or did you have all walks?
I had some family who were bigger, and then I have family who are small.
Mm-hmm.
So it was depending on my family, what side it is.
Mm-hmm.
Growing up on my mom's side, some of the women were big,
mm-hmm.
and some of them were small. But as my dad's side, my cousins on them side were, a little petite growing up. I was always the big one out of my sisters.
How many, 4?
I have, by my dad,
mm-hmm.
there's 3 of us.
3.
But my mom has 6 kids.
Right.
So she has 5 girls, 1 boy.
Gotcha.
So being the middle child of all the kids and being the oldest out of the 3 youngest,
right,
I was always even still was the big girl.
Gotcha.
So my 2 older sisters were always, the little one, petite girls. And even my 2 little sisters, they're also the little petite girls. So I was always the chunky girl.
Yeah.
So as people, the thick girl.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, like I was always the fat girl.
Right.
So it was harder for me to love myself because of the fact that I was bigger than my 2 other sisters.
Right.
So it's like.
And was that early on?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I was always could say I was a double digits growing up. I was never 1 digit.
Sizes and clothes and all that type of stuff.
Yeah. So basically probably 7th grade all the way to high school, I was probably from a size 16 to an 18
mm-hmm.
growing up. And then in my 20s, I actually got pregnant at 19 with my oldest.
Right.
So after I had her, I went up to a size 20.
So
Yes.
what is it like? So say for example, you said what out of high school or right around high school, 12, size 12,
I was like around size 12. Yeah.
right? And then what was that weight wise? Because more for the guys, we're going to know the weight. We're not going to know the sizes. The ladies, on listening to the podcast, they're going to know the sizes way better than we are.
Yeah. I was roughly high school, probably roughly about 140.
Okay,
And then
that's not
and
not a big
coming
deal.
from I'm 5'7".
Yeah, I was going to
so
say you're not tiny, you're a short lady.
I'm very tall. So when people ask how much I weigh, they didn't believe it. But being a tall person, I held the weight where everything is supposed to be.
Right.
So nobody really thought I was that big.
Right.
Even when I was 360, like people like, oh, you don't look that big. I was
we'll get to that point in a minute too. How she got to there. When you got pregnant at 19, so say for example 145 or whatever the case may be, is that when you first got the elevation of weight? You think?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
And did the diet go right out the window? 19 years old, you're young, Hispanic family, you're pregnant, and woohoo, we're just gonna eat whatever.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. That's when it like everything started tasting good. Cause like they say,
because you're pregnant.
Yes. Like oh, you're eating for two. Don't worry. It's just everything's gonna go to babies. No.
It went to the mom.
It went to us. Like, they say it's going, you eat for two, but really you're eating for yourself because the babies don't really contain a lot of food because they're still small.
People don't understand that.
Yeah.
You're so right.
Yeah. So it's like, oh, my, okay, don't worry. It's like, I'll eat. So, I was like, after I had her, I was like, okay, well, why isn't it going away? They say it's all, the baby.
So a lot of times people may not know, but some women will keep track. Okay, I started at 145. You got to what?
After I had her, I shot up to 200.
So were you 200 right before you had her?
No. Before I had her, I was about 145.
Right. And then during the pregnancy, before you had the baby, what'd you get up to?
About 200.
200. And then you had the baby, which is only 6, 7, 8 pounds. And people go, well, wait a minute, let's do the math on that. 145 to 200, where's the 8-pound baby and what's left?
Yeah.
The mom just accumulated that.
Yes.
Were you able to, because in a year later, you had another child, right?
I did.
So from the, say, 200, did you lose much before you got pregnant again?
I lost maybe 10 pounds after I had her. And then that's when I found out I was pregnant again.
Were you exercising? Did you do much walking or whatever during the first pregnancy?
Yes, I did a lot of walking. I also play sports. So I was in and out of,
you're still super young. You're 19, 20 years old.
Yeah. So I was either doing softball or going for runs or walks, or I even started playing flag football. So I've been active my whole life.
And you got pregnant again.
And I got pregnant again. Yes, with my second oldest.
So you're starting off at say 190, for argument's sake, and then did you go up further?
Yes,
during the pregnancy.
During the pregnancy, yes. So people didn't believe I was gaining weight because my face stayed skinny. So I was like, my face stayed skinny, but I could feel it in my bones. Like, okay, I'm getting heavy again. So I try to maintain and can't do that because again, my head, I'm feeding for two. For two. Here it goes again. So I kept eating and eating. And then probably I was about maybe 6 months, I shot up from 190. About 194 all the way to 215.
When you were still at 6 months of pregnancy.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. And again, it's just baby weight, baby's growing, whatever.
It'll be fine. We have to have a baby.
Yeah.
Which a lot of times it is.
Yeah.
If you get into that mindset.
Yes.
But at the time, you weren't there yet.
No. So after I had my daughter, I actually shot up weight more. So I went from like 194 to 215 to 230. So I was like, okay, no problem. 230 is not a big problem to me. I'm fine with it. So, but again, I kept walking.
And you have 2 kids that are in diapers at the time.
Yes,
so,
yes.
You didn't get a lot of help.
No.
Was family, you have a big family, so they're there to help a little bit?
Yes, my mother was my big supporter.
Yeah.
My mom, she threw me out from the ground, and she, always comforted me when I felt down and always didn't believe in myself. She was the main person who really brought me who I am right now.
Right.
And suffering from seizures as well.
Right.
And that also
And that was before pregnancies, right?
yes,
Yeah.
I started having seizures when I was 17.
Right.
Just barely developed them. When I was 17 in high
Yeah.
school. My mom's been my backbone
Yeah.
through everything, all my bad decisions, all my good decisions. She never turned her back on me. She always was that person who picked me up.
Your mom's that warrior. You need to get your mom
Yeah.
on the warrior podcast too.
Yes, yes.
Mindset. She's one that helped you out, which is great.
Yes.
And also too is when we talk about things that go on in people's lives, and a warrior mindset. A lot of times people don't have kind of that safety net. In your case, you may have been spinning your wheels a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You have 2 kids. You're still suffering a little bit from seizures.
Yes.
Your weight goes from say 145 at 18 years old, to 225. The gravel's spinning.
Yeah.
You didn't hit the pay dirt. Well, then all of a sudden your mom's a big support part.
Yes.
All of a sudden you start hitting the ground.
Yes.
And then kind of going on, because then it was what 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
6 years till you had the twins.
Yes, I had the twins in 2017. I was really going through. I had depression,
Mhm.
anxiety, so I was fighting myself through a lot. And
what was your comfort? Food.
Yeah. Oh yeah, food. Anything sugary, soda, pizza. Anything I could get my hands on, I dug it out, because after that I was fine. It was comfort to me.
Right.
It's like when I didn't have anybody, that was my friend. Food was my friend.
And from the time from the second child to the twins,
Yes.
How many years? 5 years? It's a 5 year
Twins
difference.
are 5. Yes.
5 year difference between the daughter.
Yeah.
So, do you think that within those 5 years, you're definitely like, slipping in some quicksand?
Yes.
Because the weight went up from the first 2.
Yes.
5 years later, you had the twins.
Yes.
You went up how many pounds?
I shot up from.
To say 225, 230 to.
I went from 230 all the way to probably. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I shot up to 300.
To 300 pounds.
Yes.
Before you were pregnant.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's just, and just even the conversations, this is 5-6 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
2 years since you've lost a lot of this weight.
Yes.
And it's still, and believe me, it's still, you get choked up and, you get emotional about it because, it's the body and the way the body, and I'm in the body industry. You've known me for a long time.
Yes,
I'm in the
yes.
body industry a long time. And, I've been blessed to, help her, one of the cheerleaders along the way to help her lose the weight over the years. But, it's still, it's crazy, isn't it? That you get emotional for it.
Yeah.
But then, and we'll show pictures along the way, whether it's here on the podcast or we'll put them on when we get it all edited out. And it's just amazing. So when you became pregnant again, it was right around 320, 330?
Yes.
When you had the boys?
I had a boy and a girl,
Boy
my
and a girl,
twins.
that's right, yeah.
Yes, I had the boy and a girl. After I had them, I actually shot up more. I was in with the twins' father, and after I had them, our relationship was rocky, and him not being
They're present with the babies.
yes,
Yeah.
and we're still together, but he didn't make me feel comfortable no more. Like I felt abandoned. He was there, but not there for me.
Then your comfort became what?
Food
Again.
was my friend again. So
Yeah.
it was. I felt trapped. So I was like, you know what? Okay, here it is. This is who
Yeah.
I'm going to be. Regardless what, I'm just going to be that fat girl, that big girl.
And also too is to let the audience know too, which is very prevalent nowadays and things like that is autism. So she has two kids that are a little bit older, and then you have twins, a boy and a girl,
Yes.
that are autistic.
Yes. Very.
And letting the audience know too. I've known her for a long time, and she would come in to get adjusted as a chiropractic patient, whatever. And I just hear stories of, oh my God, like the work schedule is out of control. I mean, correct you is like,
Yeah.
oh my God, my schedule is this, my schedule is that. But you still had your mom as kind of the rock for that.
Yes.
And that's been a blessing, I'm sure.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
She's been a blessing to me, and she's a great, great grandma to
Yeah.
all her grandkids. There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
So it's like, and being my mom, she also raised 6 kids by herself. 6 kids by herself, 5 girls, 1 boy. And he's the baby out of all 5 girls. So my brother, you know, I give him props because he have to deal with all psycho sisters.
Yeah.
But
so that's another note. We'll have to get him on the show. We'll have to get her mom on the show. You know, we got a lot of people that are warriors out there in this family.
Yes. Actually, it's she's a beast. She is a warrior because now she recently went blind from one eye and she's partial blind from another.
Is that diabetes?
Yes.
Yeah. And
So,
we'll kind of chat about that a little bit too on her history.
Yes. But you know, she still doesn't stop that from helping her kids, stop that from helping her grandkids when we need her for something.
She's right there.
She's right there. She's our rock. Like she's
one of the things kind of cool and you know, in my walks of life, you know, you have a mom that is this warrior within herself. I mean, she's had that mindset. You know, she lost sight in an eye now. She's got diabetes, fighting that, and she's losing a little bit of sight in the other.
Mm-hmm.
But also, too, you yourself in your own right, you know, you have that warrior mindset, and we'll continue to talk about that with the weight loss and all that. But also, too, is we, you know, have mentors in our lives, right?
Yes.
So a warrior doesn't become a warrior without having some sort of skills that are learned, right?
Yes.
And in your case, you know, your mom was a big part of it.
Oh, yes.
And, you know, my family and my history and my military service and whatever, there's things that we learn in order to be the warrior that we are. So you're out here in the front lines because it's your life. It's not my life. It's your life, the front lines of your life. But you're learning skills. You know, it seems from this conversation, ma'am, your mom's a beast.
Oh yeah, she fights. She's our fighter.
Mm-hmm.
She protects all of us. She's, you know, no matter how down she is, no matter what struggle she went through, she never really let us see her cry because she wanted to let us know that she is strong, and we want to see her as anything is possible if you put your mind to it.
Right.
And that's how we learned. It's because our mom was our hero, you know, being the way she is now and still doing the things she does for us and her grandkids.
Right. So after you had the twins, the boy and the girl, and we had conversations over the last couple of years, you know, because she's my chiropractic patient, but I was working in a multidisciplinary office with chiropractors, medical doctors, and et cetera. And so we had, the babies were probably about a year or two. And then we were talking about, because obviously, you know, I own a gym inside my studio here.
Yes.
And we just talked about fitness and nutrition. And we talked about, you know, you're like, hey, Joe, listen, you know, Doc, I need to get my ass in gear.
Yes.
And said, you know, so we did a little bit of the medical route first with some medications and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What was that like in the beginning for you? Did that help a little bit?
In the beginning, it helped, but after time I was like taking them, it was just making me gain more weight. And I, you know.
Were you pre-diabetic before? Yeah. When you were at about 360, you were pre-diabetic?
Yes, I was diabetic, high blood pressure, all that.
Taking medication? Were you taking insulin?
Yes.
Oh, you were? Okay, so full blown. So then, and we had talked along the way, and my big thing was obviously, you know, the fitness background and whatnot. We started you moving a little bit.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And we'd definitely been together for a couple of years while, you know, she was definitely losing some weight.
Yeah.
But what I want to kind of dive into a little bit is, you started with a company, and there's a bunch of vitamin supplement companies out there. Thank you very much. They'll get cut and pasted along the way, I'm sure. But and it was Herbalife. And
yes.
I'm sure, you know, people have heard of that company. It's been around forever.
About 43 years.
How did you get hooked up with them? Because we had talked about it before, just letting the audience know. But and I'm going to go into why I was pro for that. But how did you get involved? Who introduced you to that company?
Actually, I found my shop now, where Activate.
Yep.
On Instagram.
Okay,
they
gotcha.
just barely opened it, and they're trying to promote themselves out there. So I was like, okay. So I actually left the gym when I found it. So I drove over there, checked it out, and they're like, oh, you know, hi. We just opened, and actually it was Max, one of our coaches there.
Gotcha.
He was the first person who I met.
Was he one of the owners, or just kind of one of the consultants?
One of the consultants,
coaches?
Yeah, one of the coaches who was there.
Gotcha.
So he was there, and I was like, yeah, you know, I see you guys on on Instagram. I'll see how you guys are. I'm on a journey and I'm trying to lose weight. So he's like, okay. So he told me a little bit about this. I was like, oh, okay, and I wasn't really a believer either. Like,
so with the little comments of, okay, was it more? Do you feel, because we've all been, I don't care if somebody says they've never been at least introduced to network marketing, they're lying.
Yeah.
At least somebody or some company, and a lot of times they come across very salesy. Did it seem like that a little bit the first time you met the guy, or not really?
Actually, no, he didn't
That's
come
awesome.
off like that. He wasn't like right away, some people, this will do this and that, he was like explaining what it does for us, what could help me, what can motivate me more. And I was like, okay. And that's when I met Herc. Herc is the owner of Activate.
Gotcha.
So he, I finally met him, and him himself being in the Navy as well, and him being in the good shape. He's like, I take this. And I'm like, no, you don't. You look,
right.
To myself, like, stop it.
It looks too good already without having to take anything, right?
Yeah. And so as I kept pushing myself, nah, but I kept going back, because soon as I walked into that place, it's like, I felt the love.
Yeah.
I felt that love of, we're here. Yeah. So I kept just going back every time I left the gym, kept going back.
So is it going back to, so you would go to the gym, to a regular gym first, and then go to Activate, and then like one of the shakes or teas or protein, one of those. And it would just be for that only.
Yes.
But correct me if I'm wrong, they also have a place where you could do a little bit of stretching and fitness also.
Yes.
Right?
So
not huge.
No, it's not huge. So Activate is also like a nutrition and fitness. So what we do is introduce people, what the shake does, what it can help you with. So basically the shake is like a meal replacement. If you're not a morning person, that's something to whip up with fast and then drink it, and it gets you full until your next meal.
Right.
And then we have our teas that we call energy teas, our booster teas, whatever you guys want to call it. It gets you going. And these teas don't get you tired out.
Right.
It gets you going through the day. And, a lot of people are like, oh, well, they have Monsters and we have Rebels. I was like, yeah, I understand that. But these don't have a lot of sugar, like these other drinks do.
Some of those other companies, too, have a lot of chemicals in them that are really, really, I mean, I'm in the healthcare field. There's a lot of, high energy, these energy drinks that come along. I tell my patients all the time, man, read the back of those labels and then do a little investigation. Yeah. You know what I mean? I've talked to cardiologists over the years and things like that, and some of those things are terrible. Where, from what I understand, and this little bit of research that I've done with the company that you're kind of working with and has really helped you out, climb out of the quicksand of life, and we'll go into that a little bit more, that the products, they're bound by a little more strict regulation, I think, if I'm not mistaken, and that's good. When you started off with them, out of the gym, you saw it on the internet, and you go into, this little studio, little shop, and you tried some of their product, got introduced to the people. You felt like it was home, which is great.
Yes.
What did you start out weight-wise?
So when I started going to the gym, before the gym, I was walking. Yeah. So after
and on medical medication at the time, correct? And
so
we were still seeing each other.
Yes. So I was walking and then I started speeding, and then I started running a little.
Wait, you were speeding in the car?
No, my speed walk.
Oh,
speed
I'm
walk.
sorry. Yes.
No.
Damn, she's riding on the road that fast?
No, I was.
I'm sorry to give you a ticket. You're walking too fast, ma'am.
No. So, and I was never a runner. I hated running. I couldn't run more than like 5 minutes.
Well,
I was
also too is like, you got to give yourself a break. It'd be like me trying to put on a 200-pound 100-pound backpack and then going running. It's not good for your body.
Oh yeah, no.
Not good for your joints. So you doing that and saying you're not a really good runner, you're behind the 8 ball at 360 when you started, or a little bit less than that. So yes, of course you're not going to be.
So after me doing it by myself, I dropped down from like 360. I dropped down to probably 355. And then that's when I went to the gym. And then that's when I met my trainer. His name was Vincent. He helped me go from that size all the way to probably 245.
And that's before you started with the shakes.
Yes.
So that's great. So you're down, gosh damn, almost about 100 pounds. 100 and, no, 2 foot. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
About 100. Yeah. About 100 pounds.
Yeah. So.
Wow. That's awesome.
So when I finally made the commitment of going to activate and trying Herbalife, I was around 245.
Gotcha.
So that really got me going.
Yeah.
And me thinking, okay, this is not going to work, whatever. So I was like, whatever, I'm going to give it a try, see what it does. So I did. Every question I have, they're right there answering
Nice.
it. And how do you do this? What can I do to do this? And they're willing to help me out. And then that's when I met a few other coaches,
Right.
Coach Chris and Coach P, as or Priscilla, call her Coach P. And, like I said, Coach Max, they were really my backbone. They see me start from 245 all the way down to where I'm at to 180.
And then when was this? So the weight at 180 right now, and we've kind of talked about it. As a doctor patient, your goals are a little bit less. You get it back down. When did you hit the 180 mark? How long's it been?
My first year on Herbalife, I dropped down to 145. 145 in my first year, I dropped down to 145.
Wait, you got down to 145?
Yes.
And then you're back up a little bit.
And then...
Wait, 145 or 2? Yeah.
I lost.
Lost 145
pounds.
I got you. I'm like,
yeah.
Wait a minute.
No,
we're not there yet, are we?
No. My weight now is 180.
180. Okay. Yeah. And then when did you hit 180? Within this year so far?
About this year, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And you've been maintaining that right now?
Yes.
So, one of the things just, as we kind of intertwine why we have this type of podcast, because we're using the term the warrior mindset podcast.
Yes.
And a warrior doesn't mean an individual. You need a team.
Oh, yeah.
And whether you're with a company like, say, Herbalife, or you're with a different network company with the vitamins, and listen, we're not here to advocate one or the other. Our idea is not as much the product, it's the people.
Yes.
And I'm super impressed because basically, Activate is a type of company, and I haven't even met them yet, the guys, but I've heard of the company. But it's a team effort. You don't become a warrior. You don't become somebody that can, fight for their life and their future and their goals and et cetera without some sort of team.
Yes.
And one of the things I'm super impressed, what I wanted you to come on, obviously because of the weight loss, but I'm super impressed, but not necessarily the company. The company is very good.
Yes.
But it's the people.
Yes. The people, I call my family.
Mm-hmm.
And they're lovable. They're caring. They want to see better for others, not just for themselves, but they're there to help others feel comfortable for themselves and for when they go out and share their stories.
Right.
So it's really a blessing that I did step in when I stepped in.
Right.
Because I'll probably be lost. I honestly would be lost without my backbones of my coaches.
It's that team. It's that warrior team.
It is. And, there's times I want to give up because I wasn't really seeing the results. And it takes time. As I learned, it's like, they told me, you have to change that mindset. If that mindset is still back in where you were before, it's not going to go nowhere. You're always going to be stuck.
That we talked about earlier, the spinning of the wheels in the gravel. If you keep spinning the wheels, you're never going to accelerate to go down the road.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
If you had to say, like, that quicksand moment where you're like, you're up to your nose, and we had the babies, they're and then they're autistic, and that's a whole nother stress, and you're putting on that armor every day. You're trying to protect the things that are combating you every day: the stress, the anxiety, the depression, the weight gain, and whatnot. Was there one person that you feel, and your mom doesn't count because she's been there since day one, but did you feel like mentally where, oh my God, I'm in this quicksand, I'm coming up to my nose? Was there one person that kind of threw you the rope, or did you go, nah, I did this myself. I found a vine and I pulled my own ass out of it?
No, actually, it was my son.
Your son?
Yes. Being big, I didn't have the speed. My son actually almost got hit because a car was backing up from our parking lot, and I couldn't catch up to him.
Whoa.
So for me to stop the car, I actually threw my phone at the car for them to stop.
Wow.
So I could say my son, he saved me. He saved me. So that's when at that time I knew it was time. It was time for me to change, not just for me, but for my kids to see me live, for me to able to see them grow, and for them to see mom did this to live for us. And I did.
And it's funny because I'm going to say you grabbed the vine yourself because he was there in trouble.
Yeah.
There was nobody there to help him. You basically had to drag your own ass out of the damn quicksand, pull that rope, the rope, the vine, whatever,
Yes.
in order to then, once you protected him, you're like, oh man, I'm never going back in that pit again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The trainer that you were working out in the gym, still training with him?
No.
Or you're doing your own thing right now?
Yeah, he actually doesn't train there no more.
Oh, okay.
So, but we stayed in contact, and he checks up on me, and I follow him on Instagram. He follows me on mine.
Nice.
So he's like, oh man.
Are you able to do your own training kind of by yourself? Because it's been a couple of years now. You kind of got it down.
Yes. There's points I could get, but I also ask help from my other coaches, like, hey, what can I do for this? Or how can I get this built? Or how can I get this on my,
Oh, we were just talking about that just the other day.
Yeah. So, you could, there's always new tricks you can learn from other people that you don't even know about. And that's one thing about Activate. It's like there's different coaches who have
different experience
of what we're trying to get. And that's one thing about them is everybody trains their own way, but the result is you get there.
Yeah, it's just like myself in the military service, former SEAL team guy. You're going through 3 phases of the training.
Yes.
And you have various instructors.
Yes.
You have various instructors for a reason, because not one guy has the expertise in it all.
Yeah.
Well, you may get to a team, once you're in the service, but then, some guy's going to teach you how to be a sniper. Some guy's going to teach you how to be a diver.
Yeah.
Some guy's going to teach you, how to scuba dive. And then you got to put all those pieces together and then be the warrior you are.
Yes.
So these individuals in your life that you've brought, your instructors, your trainers, your own personal, mental SEAL team training and whatnot has been, the initial, your mom, which is your foundation.
Yes.
Your kids, which is ones that are keeping you kind of active and going, oh my God, I got to be healthy for these kids.
Yeah.
The original weight trainer, we'll call him, at the gym was a component, and then you have the Activate, which is a facility that is, motivating you to be in better shape. So it's like you have a army of people that are teaching you how to be a better service person, to be a better person, to wear that, that armor, to be that warrior mindset. So your life can go on, raising your kids the way you do.
Yes. Not only that they're teaching me for myself, but they're teaching me so I can help other people who are struggling to ask for help. Because I was always afraid to ask for help. If I asked for help, I felt like I was a failure. And that's how some people feel, like, they're scared to take that step, to take that leap of helping or try to ask for others for help. There's other people who are out there who has struggled what you're struggling now. And don't be afraid of asking or even letting a hand out. And that's one thing in my journey I'm trying to learn is let me help you. Tell me what you're struggling with. Tell me what you're going through, because you may not know. I probably went through that, and I know your story too.
Exactly.
And that's one thing as they're training me to do, because I am also training to be a coach. So, because my story, as I say, is could help somebody else who felt abandoned, who felt alone, who felt scared, who felt like there was nobody out there for them.
Right.
And to let everybody know, there is people out there. You just got to reach out. Look on that bright side, leave that dark behind you. Look for that future you want and leave all the pain in the back. And that's what I'm learning myself. And
it's interesting that you use that. I've always used the phrase, and I was fortunate to, in my career so far, I was taught I was on the faculty at the chiropractic college as an intern, doctor and whatnot. And I used to explain to the students, any opportunity you get in life, and I use the analogy, most of the time, if you're going to welding school, then you become a welder.
Yeah.
Right? You see one, you do one.
Yeah.
Anytime you get an opportunity, which I think you become a better individual, is if you see something, you do something, and then you teach something. Right? Where before, and which I commend you on, is you're learning to teach somebody something, because I think sometimes it can be a waste if you see something and do something for the rest of your life and you didn't pass it on to somebody else.
Yeah.
There's a waste of your talent. So you've had people that have mentored you
Yes.
but you're seeing something, you're losing the weight, you're using some product, you're changing your lifestyle, you're changing your diet, you're then doing it.
Yes.
Then you're doing it, and oh my God, 180 pounds, she's down. But where you're going to benefit, and I really think that warrior mindset, those positive people, the people that I want to meet along the way, are the ones that go, I'm just not going to take this information and just keep it to myself. I'm going to teach somebody else so I can drag them with me.
Yes.
Because they've probably had some of the similar problems.
Yes.
We're at 180 right now.
Yes.
What is it? What is your goals?
My goal?
It's going to be taped, so it's going to got the hold to it now. Everybody's going to see this.
Yes. My goal is to at least go to 165 to 155. In between. If I could hit 165, and I am, I want to gain more muscle.
See, I was just going to ask you about that. Yeah, the numbers, when we tell people all the time, and especially in the healthcare field, and I've been for a long time, it's not always a number.
Yes.
Now, we totally understand it has to be that at least a little bit, right? Because people think, well, it's only on how you look in your clothes. Well, yes and no.
Yes.
Right? You have to have that positive aspect of, what's the number? But then you get to a certain point where you're at, you look, and we'll show some pictures and, on our when we do the podcast and get it all produced and all that good stuff, where she looks unbelievable, in the clothes now and things like that. That's what you want also.
Yes.
But right now you're kind of looking at a number point of view about $165.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I want to get there, but like I said,
healthy wise.
Yes, healthy wise. But once I get there, I'm not just gonna stop because I'm there.
Mm-hmm.
I could tell you, I want to get that, I want to get this, but you can't always want and not go for it.
Right.
You can't say I want that, but what are you doing to get to that point? What is your step to get to that point? What's your mindset to be able to get to that point? And that's what people need to know. You can't just say, I want, and expect to get it. You have to work for that goal. You got to work for that prize.
Right. It's like that expression I've heard over the years is if wishes were fishes, the ocean would be full.
Yes.
Because people just wishing all day long and doing nothing about it.
Yes.
Right. So, and that's a positive thing for you because a lot of times people will use this, and this is why, I wanted you on this podcast because we talked about is you want to help people.
Yes.
These podcasts and the people that I get on, I want to help people because if somebody that just listens to our show goes, man, Crystal, that's exactly what I need to do. I didn't think I could do it. I'm 300 pounds and whatnot. At the end, we'll make sure there's, some direct messaging, and our CG, my camera guy, he'll figure all that stuff out to get your contact information out there for you. But if there's just one person that can benefit from you, it's a plus. We have in the military, they've done some push-up challenges and things like that from a post-traumatic stress, PTSD, where they say statistically like 22 people, commit suicide, a day. And I think if there's people like you out there, people like myself out there, we have this, this warrior mindset podcast where we can get people in front of things to go, oh man, if I talk to this guy or I talk to this gal, that one thing that you and I may be able to do for somebody, make a huge difference in people's lives.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you had a goal in mind because you are, you're wanting to move into the next level, that see one, do one, you want to get into teach one now.
Yes.
What would you say to guys and girls, because people all have the same struggle with weight and things like that. What would be one of the things that you would suggest to people that are seeing this today and are feeling down, feeling overweight, feeling overwhelmed, feeling that they can't do what you do? What would you say to these people?
Basically, cry. Go ahead and cry. But once that crying stops, stand up strong and go for it. Do not stop. Just reach for it. Keep going. No matter how much you want to give up, don't let it. No matter how much people tell you, oh, you're never going to be like that. Don't believe them. Because the one person who's got to be strong is yourself. You got to change that mindset of, I could do this. I'm willing to do this. Even if nobody's behind me, I got myself and I'm going to stand strong.
Right.
And it's hard because some people are alone by themselves. And And there's a lot because, me struggling from where I was at and feeling alone, that's not the only thing I struggled. Like, there was thoughts of suicide.
Mm-hmm.
I always had suicide thoughts because it's like, who's going to want me? Who's going to want this? Like, come on. I always put myself down. And that's one thing was wrong with me. I always thought negative.
Right.
If you stay in that negative, you're never going to go forward.
100%.
And
100%.
once you take, it's baby steps. It's baby steps. And once you hit that baby step, you're going to go walking and you're going to walk. And then from there, you're going to that point of life like you'll never believe. Would I ever believe I would ever be this size? No. Did I think I will ever be this size? No, because my mindset was in the dark.
Yeah.
And finally I let myself out of the darkness and was shining and still shining.
And it's funny, you go every day, and we've mentioned this in other podcasts along the way. It's kind of a saying that we have in the SEAL team. The only easy day was yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Because guess what? You got to get up the next morning, and you got to do exactly the same thing again. Yep. And that's exactly the way you're kind of presenting it. You're telling people in the audience, it's just like, if you start off today and you do nothing, well, then you wasted a day. Yeah. Right? Yep. If you start off today and do something, then you go, oh my God, I feel so sore. But guess what? That day's over. Tomorrow's going to come and you're going to hit the ground running again. You know what I mean? Yeah. What I'm going to do real quick is and the cameras aren't going to really show it that well, but we'll put it on, as we do some of the producing. But I just wanted to take a second. I'll probably put it on this camera. It's probably the easiest. But, and one of the things I'm going to commend, Crystal for is the fact that if you look at her social media, and I'll let you shout that out at the end. But look at some of the pictures, because a lot of times people feel ashamed when they first start off and they go, this is where I'm at. But you know what? That vulnerability in the beginning is what's going to motivate you in the future. So this is kind of one of the pictures where she kind of started off with, and, it's going to be not perfect, but, we'll show it to you when we do the production type of it. But this is where she started off with. And then what is the date? What is this one at? You're at? Right. This is yes, within now. Recent. This is right now. And, this is some of the major changes that she's made. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And if we were to show the picture, and I have some really cute pictures that I'm going to put on the podcast, with some nice, cute clothes on, because she looks very, very good in the clothes. But this is kind of when you put two of them together and they have it side by side. And, just talk about a warrior. I mean, talk about a warrior mindset that's went from 360 to 180 in the time frame, 2 years?
About 2 years.
About 2 years. Is just utterly ridiculous. It's, because people don't have that mindset to keep going, right? And that's the way we progress in this world in the future. Is you got to take each day one step at a time. You know what I mean? You can't complete a marathon till you take that first step. And that 180 pounds, and she's almost at the finish line if her goal was $165. But another thing too is like, we've talked a lot about your motivation and where you've come from. Every once in a while I'll ask a question, from your successes, which you've got from 380, to 180, 360 to 180. And you're super motivated, like, over these last couple of years. If you could sit down with anybody, past, present, we can't sit anybody in the future technically, but we don't know who they are. From the past or present, who would you like to sit down and just have a cup of coffee with and pick their brain?
From within family or?
No, just like, you say because now obviously, you went from like the Hispanic type of family, the not eating right, things like that, whether there's somebody that pushed you from there, or whether it's from the fitness nutrition point of view, or somebody that you saw, like whether it's, Hollywood motivator, blah, 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 where you go, man, I'm really intrigued with he or she along the way. Like, and it could be anybody. You know what I mean?
Mine will be my grandma, who I actually never met. She passed away before I was born.
What intrigues you about that?
As I look at her, I look just like her. So it's surprising, like, wow, I never met this woman who is my grandma and who I don't even know anything really about. But when I look at her, I could see myself. And I see her, and just looking at her pictures, like, she was a loving person. She was a caring person. She looked happy.
Yeah.
And as every time I wake up, I look at her picture and I'm like,
That motivates you.
that motivates me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you know, she gets me going. Like, even though she's not here and I never met her, she gets me going. When
Well-
I'm having a hard day, I look at her picture and I cry. I'm like, Grandma, what can I do? Let me know, and it just, it keeps me going every day.
That's kind of cool because you'd never met her, but every day you think about her and you're trying to tell yourself, I hope I would make her proud.
Yes.
By every day, and obviously, honey, everybody that sees this podcast is going to be super proud of you. I know I've known you for a long time now. I'm super proud of you. My camera guy, CG, he saw some of the pictures too, and he's proud of you too. And, the family, the family, I'm sure, is super. Your mom, I mean, what does she say? I mean,
My mom, she's very proud.
Yeah.
She see me struggle. She see me cry. She see me do a lot of things that a mother doesn't want to see her child do to herself.
Yeah. How about your sisters? Because I'm sure, listen, believe me, a bunch of girls getting together. Oh boy, I'm sure they could be catty.
Oh,
are they happy for you too? Your sisters all,
Yeah, we're all close to each other.
Good.
I mean, yes, we're all girls, so
Of
it's
course.
like, us being females, it's like we have our days, but
Yeah.
but
Overall,
yes, but overall, my sisters, we're there for each other.
Good.
And
That's
so,
awesome.
yes.
A lot of times it's not happening in families like that.
Yeah.
So it's good to hear. That's why I kind of ask. And that's definitely
Me
awesome.
and my sisters, we're always there when we need each other.
Mhm.
Even my brother. Can't leave my brother out. But,
Yeah.
him being a boy, he doesn't really understand us females. But,
He's one that just gives you high fives and gives you knuckles and good job, sis.
Yeah. But my brother, that's another person who he's really, really supportive.
Mm-hmm.
He's a loving, caring, chill guy.
Yeah.
Like, he's one person I could also talk to. Bro, like, I'm not feeling it. Bro,
Yeah.
like, and that's all right, sis. Like, we'll talk it out. Okay. He goes, all right.
Make sure you're pumped to go to the gym or to activate or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's like I love all of them.
Yeah.
I love my 4 sisters. I love my brother. Of course, as I call her, my queen, my mama bear.
Yeah.
She's everything I could ever imagine a mother should be.
Man, that's awesome. So just in closing, we just like to, first of all, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. One of the things I hope it made it real easy because it's a doctor-patient thing. You've been a patient of mine for years, and I'm hopefully we made you super comfortable.
Yeah.
And, I just want to thank you for really opening up the way you have, because personally, I think there's going to be people, we'll, like you said, get the information. There's people are going to reach out to you. People are going to see something, and you and I may never meet somebody that will make a difference in their life. And, as we talk with the camera, on the way out the door here with this podcast, it's like, take that chance in yourself, know that, yesterday, is gone. So today we got to live. Tomorrow is unexpected, but you want to take that one step forward every day. You have somebody like Crystal here that was not thinking about that earlier on with 2 years ago. Now she made some huge changes to where, she's now at, 180 pounds down. And, the cliche of, well, if she can do it, anybody can do it. It's not necessarily true. But if she's presenting to us, the audience, how she's doing it, and how she has done it so far, we all can take that first step. So with that being said, give me a handshake, honey. Thank you so much for being on the show. And we look forward to seeing you guys on the Warrior Mindset podcast in the near future. Hopefully, this show will resonate with some of you and get some of you off the couch and on the trail and in the gym and, eating properly. So with that being said, I'm your host, Dr. Joe Martin. We'll see you soon.